Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Numerics with Nadia. In today's lesson, we're going to continue learning about exponents. If you haven't watched my last two videos on the introduction to exponents and how to approach negative exponents, I would highly encourage you guys to watch those two first. Prior to this video, I'll go ahead and link the exponent playlist here for you guys. As far as this video, we are going to be learning how to understand the zero exponent rule. This is very confusing for a lot of you guys, so our lesson plan for today is going to be first off defining the zero exponent rule, then understanding the mathematical logic behind the rule. Now this is the most important part. We'll go through two different methods and two different ways to understand it, and then as always we'll get into a few practice problems. But let's first off start with defining the zero exponent rule. The zero exponent rule says that any non-zero number raised to a power of 0 is equal to 1. So a to the 0 would equal 1 as long as our base isn't 0. Now, why is this the case? Let's get into understanding the logic behind the zero exponent rule. Method 1, what we're going to look at first is applying the division rule. So we went over this in our last video. Again, if you haven't watched that, I will go through and link that here for you guys. By following the same logic from the division rule, we know that dividing the base reduces the exponent, right? So just to illustrate this for you guys, let's do an example. Let's say that we had 2 cubed, and let's say we were dividing 2 cubed by 2 cubed. The first way you can solve this is by expanding it out, right? We know 2 cubed is 8. 8 divided by 8 just gives us 1. So that's one way to see that 2 cubed over 2 cubed gives us 1. The other way is applying the division rule. 2 cubed over 2 cubed is the same as 2 to the power of 3 minus 3. And we know 3 minus 3 is 0. And 2 to the power of 0 just gives us 1. So this is one method of illustrating how the zero exponent rule works. Now we'll get into method 2. For method 2, we will be using the multiplication rule. Again, we went over this in the last video. And for this explanation, it will be a little bit more general. So for any base a, just so we can apply this to anything, for any base a, we know the multiplication rule. A to the m times a to the n equals a to the m plus n. So let's say here for this problem, for our purposes here, that n is negative m. So let's say that that second exponent is negative m. We would then do a to the m times a to the negative m. And when we do this, we would subtract the powers, right? By subtracting the powers, we end up getting that a to the m minus m would just be 0, right? M minus m is 0. And since we know that a to the m times a to the negative m is 1, that also follows the zero exponent rule and allows us to understand that a to the 0 equals 1. So again, just to repeat before we get into our few practice problems, a to the 0 equals 1, that is our zero exponent rule, and we proved it using these two methods. Now, I know this is very easy to apply and to do in practice, but we'll still do a few practice problems. The directions for our practice section say to just simplify the following expressions. So for our first practice problem, we have 3 to the 0. This is a direct application of the zero exponent rule. We know 3 to the 0 would be 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. For number 2, we have 5 to the 0 power times 4 squared. And we know 5 to the 0 power would just be 1. So it would be 1 times 4 squared. We know that 4 squared is 16, and 1 times 16 just gives us 16. So 16 is our answer for number 2. And now for our third and final practice problem for today, we have 10 cubed times 10 to the negative 3. So we'll apply our multiplication rule. That would be 10 to the power of 3 minus 3, which is 10 to the 0, which is just 1. So that wraps up the few practice problems we had for today. I hope this lesson helped you guys understand the zero exponent rule. It can be confusing, so I hope that the two methods we went over help us actually understand it instead of just memorizing the rule. So feel free to like the video if you enjoyed it, comment any questions or any other video topics you would like to see down below, share this video with a friend, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.